All right, here we go. Let me turn off this preview. Make sure these are all muted, okay. And all right, I think we're ready to get going. Let me pull the Discord chat back up here as well. To start with, thank you on Twitch there, Haas 0312, 0312. Thank you for the follow just a moment ago on Twitch. Appreciate that. Quick introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Tim. I go by Foamy Guy on GitHub and Discord. And if you're new to the stream, if you've not seen this before, we're going to be working on some CircuitPython related things. Probably going to be sticking to libraries today for the most part. If you don't know what that is, CircuitPython is a version of Python that runs on these tiny computers called microcontrollers. This is the website. You can learn all about it here at CircuitPython.org. I have this particular one pulled up right now. We might use a couple others later on. This is a PyPortal. So on the back here, it's got the main chip, which is the microcontroller. And then this one happens to also have Wi-Fi in this chip over here, and it has a couple other sensors and things like that. And then the other really cool thing about this one is that it has a nice big color enabled display right here with a touch overlay on it. So you can make programs to draw on the screen and pick up touch inputs and all of that sort of stuff as well. And so we'll be working on the libraries today. And if you're interested in this project, if you want to get involved, it is an open source project. So the same kind of stuff that I'm going to be working on today, you're definitely free to work on as well if you would like. And if you're interested, you can also contribute to the core project as well. That's open source also. So if you're interested in any of those things, I would recommend first checking out CircuitPython.org. There's a contributing link here. And also, if you're new to it, you can head over to the Discord. The Discord is linked down below on the screen there. I'm in the live broadcast room right now during the stream, so you can head there if you want to chat with me during the stream. But there's also a bunch of other rooms where the developers of the project tend to hang out during the week. So that's a great place to go if you are interested in getting involved. The project, the CircuitPython project, it is an open source project, but it's primarily funded by Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. They make hardware and software. They're based out of New York. They have all kinds of different microcontrollers like the one we're working with today. Also, all sorts of different widgets and doodads and things that you can plug into the microcontrollers and connect up to them and do stuff with them. So if you want to help support the project, but you're not interested in actually getting involved in the development, you can purchase hardware from them because they do pay folks to work on the project. So there's a couple folks they pay full time to work on the core project and foster the community and do all sorts of related things. So that's the way that you can help out if you don't want to get directly involved in the development, or even if you do really, you can purchase hardware from them. And ultimately, that is going to go towards the folks that are working on the project. This is not like a paid advertisement. They don't pay me to advertise this at the top of all the streams. I just do it because I do really like the project. I definitely want it to succeed and be long-lived. And so, of course, they also have all sorts of goodies and things. I'm also always buying things from them. I got the next order, I think, coming maybe later this week or next week. So I purchased from them as well. But they do pay me to work on guides and other stuff like that. So I do work for them in some capacity on things. But this stream here is not like a paid stream or anything like that. So today, what we're going to start out with is in the CircuitPython org, which is github.com/CircuitPython. We have a bunch of display widgets, lots of different widgets that you can put on devices with displays like this one that I have pulled up here. And what I'm going to do to start out with today is create a new repo inside this org, and we're going to put the dial gauge widget, or I should just call it a gauge, not the dial. The dial is an existing one that's already in this org. The gauge is a new widget that was created recently by a community member, Gary Z. And so we did get the my PR in the core was merged in with the boundary fill function, which this new widget makes use of. So we are now ready to create a repo for this new widget and get it added to the CircuitPython.org bundle and all those sorts of things. Hey there, Johnny. How are you doing today? So to start out with, I am going to run Cookie Cutter. Cookie Cutter is the tool that we use to create these repositories. It does a bunch of the setup and stuff for us. So I probably should have had this open before, but and this is probably on a different project. Let me load up some CircuitPython stuff here. We could start with this, I think. That'll be good. Let's load up the core project to start with here, and eventually we'll load up the new project we create. I'm just going to go to the guide. There's a guide that has kind of step-by-step directions on how to do this, and I always like to reference that. That way I make sure I'm getting everything done. I got the cat playing with a little toy here. Let me send him a little further away. All right, so this guide, it's called, I think it's like creating a library. Yeah, creating and sharing a CircuitPython library. This is it here. So this guide has all the information you need if you do want to create a library and either get it shared in the community bundle or perhaps the CircuitPython.org bundle, or even this is the same guide that folks follow to create the Adafruit libraries as well that go in the main bundle. Oh yeah, got the summer weather into there. It's still a little warm for us. I do think there's supposed to be a storm rolling in sometime, though. But it's still fairly warm, which is kind of nice. We got a couple weeks left, I'm guessing. So this library, it is all about how to create your library to keep it in line with all of the same standards as the rest of the libraries. We like to keep them fairly standardized, so they contain all the same sorts of documentation files and README files and other sort of meta files that are not part of the the code itself that makes the library work, but there's a bunch of stuff that goes along with it. And so Cookie Cutter is the name of the tool that we use to do this. It tells you all about it on this page here. How to install it. I've already got it installed, but they do also have the command to run it, which is this command right here. I'm going to copy that. I am going to go to the terminal. I'm going to go to repos, CircuitPython, and I think, yeah, this is where we want to do this. So we're going to run Cookie Cutter. It's going to ask if it can update itself to get the latest version of Cookie Cutter. We're going to say yes. We're going to choose community. This one's going to live in the CircuitPython.org. Actually, this reminds me. Let me check on something real quick here. Cookie Cutter. Let's look at the repo here. So I think it was last week, Katney and Ask Patrick W were asking me about this. Let's see if anybody wrote back yet. No, not yet. Okay, I'll have to remember to bring it up this week during the meeting or something. I think what we're trying to do is actually change the way this first question works. So right now, like, I'm going to choose community, and then I'm not going to choose a prefix, and that's going to lead to this repo ending up, named for the CircuitPython.org. But I think what we want to do is make that a third choice, if I understand here. But I got to get a little feedback from one of those two. So for now, though, it does work this way. We're going to choose 2. For community, GitHub user is going to be CircuitPython, because this is going to live inside CircuitPython.org. Author name, we can put me there. I will switch out the author in the main code file. And we'll put Gary Z in there. That's who actually wrote the vast majority of this. Company. Let's see, it's been a minute since I did one of these. I think we were putting CircuitPython here as well to match the GitHub name. So the library name, what we have been naming these is like Displayio underscore the name of the widget. So that's this part of the name right here. So we're gonna go Displayio. This one is gauge. Library description. So this makes circular gauges. Let's see. Let's go Displayio widget that creates circular gauges that can have their fill value set dynamically. So it's kind of like a progress bar, but in a circle. This is a thing that got popular, I think, mostly with mobile phones, is kind of where I first started seeing these sorts of things. But it's fairly common now. You see it on websites and stuff as well, like when things want to express, like, you know, how fast something went, especially, or how, you know, how much time is left in loading or something like that. It's kind of like a progress bar that, you know, goes around in a circle instead of, you know, just straight. So that's what this thing is going to be all about here. Keywords. I'll look back at one of the other ones. I think, so it's going to include a couple automatically. We'll add some more, like I think Displayio and widget and some things like that. Let's check out keywords in this one. Okay, so some of these are going to get done automatically. Yeah, all the way up to here. So we'll kind of follow this one. We'll say Displayio widget and gauge. And I'll put maybe progress bar as well, since very similar to that. That's probably good to start with. So prefix, we're going to leave that blank. That's going to lead us to getting a CircuitPython.org repo. PID, so there's not really a specific part that goes with this. Pretty much any display that supports CircuitPython and Displayio could work for this. So I think we'll leave that blank, though. We don't need to list all of them. So require bus device, no, doesn't require bus device, and it does not require register either. So we'll go no on those. Does it have any other requirements? Let's look in the code for it. I want to say no, but maybe like display text. Let's check it out. So math, display, bitmap tools, time. Okay. Yeah, no, we don't have any text inside of here. You know, of course, you could still make a label and put it next to this, but it doesn't come with one out of the box. So there are no other required modules. All of these things are built-in modules in the core of CircuitPython. So we don't have anything here. I don't know, do we leave that blank maybe? Do we want to release it on PyPy? So I think now, for right now, immediately, I don't think we can release it on, I mean, we could release it on PyPy, but the problem is that it does rely on bitmap tools boundary fill, which is this new function that I was working on if you saw last week's show. Also, bitmap tools draw a line as well. And the thing is, I don't think we have bitmap tools inside of Blinka Displayio. So it would not, I mean, we could release it on PyPy, but it wouldn't really be able to run. Yeah, Displayio. I guess this would be back up here, maybe. There's a font.io, but there's no bitmap tools. So really, we would need a Python implementation of bitmap tools at least draw line and boundary fill before this could work on Blinka. And so we don't have much of a need really to release it on PyPy just yet. Until those things exist, then it could be used. And so then it would make a little more sense. But I think what I'm going to do actually is do yes, and then what we'll do is we'll disable that PyPy file. Kind of like how it was on this library here, where it's then called setup.py disabled. This way it'll create the file for us. It'll be ready to go when and if we do want to add it. We'll just set that to disabled, and then it won't actually get released for now. Sphinx, yeah, we do want docs, so let's do yes. All right, so now we can open this up. Now this is going to be CircuitPython.org Displayio gauge right here. We could do this window. All right, so this will be where the code for the library lives. I think we've been getting rid of the doubled up copyrights, maybe? Maybe we should change cookie cutter to get rid of those. I'm also going to switch this up here to Gary Z. Gary Z. Because that's who wrote this code originally. I am creating the library for it and some of the other meta files and stuff, but Gary did the vast majority of the work on this. Okay, so we have some to-dos. We're going to need to take care of these. We might as well do that right now. We don't need bus device or register. Specific hardware. We don't have specific hardware. Does that say it says to leave the category? Is that? It doesn't really say. Okay, well, we'll leave it. Maybe should we put like any display that supports Displayio? We could put that there. Okay. Fills in this automatically. So we're going to take the code from gauge here. Let's go here. Copy got messed up there. Let's copy. So this we're going to drop in here. Imports can scooch up a little bit. Looks like time is imported but not used. Yeah. I think I might have added that at one point. To add some delays. Like I think I added sleep or something like that to try to fix something at one point. Let me put the chat back up here real quick. Okay. So we can get rid of time, and let's see. There's a couple of things that I know we're going to need to do. Well, for one, we can... I think we'll be able to get rid of this. It's commented out. Let's take a quick scan through here for some other commented out code. We could get rid of that. So, too many blank lines. So it wants one blank line, it looks like. Okay. So another thing we'll need to do is we need to let Sphinx know about these modules. So the way we do that is in conf, we need to find the mock imports. and set these up here. Displayio, bitmap tools. I think those are the only ones we need. Math is like a core one, like same from CPython, so it doesn't need that. And we will disable the setup.py, so let's go rename this. On code files. Yeah, I think that's fine for now. We're going to have an example. Put an example in all these things. This is also the example was also written by Gary, so I'm just going to change that up to Gary Z, where he'll drop in the sample code. Let me check actually. Check Gary's repo here. See if anything has been updated since the last time I looked in this. So then we'll grab the newest version. No, I don't think so. Okay. Okay. This is the base repo. So there, inside of this base repo, there is the gauge itself and the example code as well. So that example code is what we'll use. In fact, I might as well. We could just copy it from here. This is going to go inside simple test. And it looks like got some imports that we don't need. This will work on more than just. This will work on more than just the funhouse. Works on any CircuitPython device with a built-in display. I think that's true. I mean, the only thing I could think is like if the display's too small, maybe some of these gauges would be off the side of it, but I think the funhouse might be the smallest display, or well, I guess maybe like the original Hallowing I think has a pretty small display. That might be the smallest one with a built-in. Okay, so one thing is this is now Displayio gauge. And it looks like don't need math. Yeah. Terminal IO probably was used with display text. But it looks like there currently are no labels in this example, so let's get rid of those for now. Okay. I don't think we need a divider necessarily. Could test without this. Once we get to testing this code, I think we don't need to fill in the background, possibly. Let's clean this up while we're here. Okay. It's gonna want a new line at the end of the file. All right. So now we've got our example in. So one thing that we need still is the doc strings. I'm actually gonna open up another library here. so that I can reference the right syntax for Sphinx documentation. I don't know that off the top of my head, so let's go, whoops. Close all of these for now. Okay. So this is actually a nice, this one's nice. It's got a bunch of extra images and things in it. So maybe we'll take a screenshot or something as well. I don't know if I have a super easy way to get a screenshot actually though. I know Kmatch made something that could extract screenshots, or I think there's like a bitmap saver library as well. Maybe we'll try that at one point. Okay. So we're going inside of class. Make our doc string. Is there a space? No. Okay. Circular gauge. Origin set with X center and Y center. Circular gauge that can be filled to a certain value. And we will, let's just reference the XY as well. Placed via XY. Do we want slash? How is this one? Okay, origin is set using, maybe keep that same wording. The origin is set using, you know, the other thing we could do is we could probably have this extend widget instead of tile grid, and then we would gain anchor positioning. I think I'll leave it. For now, but that might be something we could do before we publish. Using, so these are like this, I think, X and Y. X and Y. I'm gonna say X and Y. Uh-oh. Oh no. The keyboard is not typing. Lights are on. I've not had that problem before. Let me unplug this. No. Oh boy. All right. I type in here either. All right. Well, one moment. Let's try to figure out here. Oh, that's a bummer. The lights are not back on. So this doesn't work either. Nope. I might have to restart the stream and stuff. I guess I might have to restart my computer. Bummer. Okay. All right, do we have... That's still working? That's working, but not really. Yeah, because this is on a different one of these now. Oh boy, Linux is like kind of shaky sometimes. Sorry folks, gonna be... It's not gonna find it though. Oh, that is kind of annoying. Yes, that's true, Neradoc. Although there's an open PR, or not PR though, rather, it's an issue. Right here, I'll link. Oh, I can't copy. Boy, that is gonna ruin me. Copy. Well, I'll let you see it. It's issue 149 on the cookie cutter repo is talking about if we wanted to keep that behavior or not. Basically, I'm hoping that I gotta actually try to remember to ask Kattni or ask Patrick W what the specific behavior we want. They mentioned this the other day here, but it was intentional when I did it originally. It just, I think that's not what we want necessarily anymore. Okay, bear with me. I'm gonna try to not have to reboot my computer. So basically what happened is my whole USB hub here died, it seems like. Actually, I'm surprised the camera... Okay, so the camera's in a different one. That's why the camera's working. Alright. So luckily the camera is still working. I think we could salvage this if... bear with me for one moment. So I need to try to get my macro thing back here working, because that's going to ruin me. I'm going to keep hitting it. It's not going to work. It's going to type all sorts of weird things. Yes. Yeah, I think I tend to agree. I think the third choice is probably the way to go. I just want to get one of those two's feedback. So I need to try to fix this. How do we do this? How do we do this? Let me reference... Do I have a note file with this stuff in it? One second here. Sorry for the technical difficulties here. Okay. Config. Okay. So this is how I configure this macro pad that I use. Its actual software doesn't work on Linux. And so has this, which kind of works sort of for the most part. So we need to we need to find the new input since this is plugged into a new spot. The thing is, like, I just got all this stuff set up once, and then I like don't mess with it anymore, which is exactly how I like it. But unfortunately, right now, that's not helping us. Is it inside of input by ID? Okay. LS, okay. By path, we actually want by path. Yeah. Okay, so what we need to do is find the difference. We need to copy all of these. Sorry, I know this is not what we're meant to be doing here, but I gotta have this thing to work, honestly. I put copy paste and I use it for like everything. We're gonna copy this. We're gonna go to here. We are gonna do a file comparison. We're gonna paste this. And now we're gonna unplug this. And now we're gonna run this again. Now we're gonna copy it again. We're gonna paste it here. Okay, so this is the thing that's missing. That's what I unplugged. So we need this to go here. What all part of this? Zero, zero, zero. $14. One dot one. 1.1.2 colon. I don't know what all this stuff is. This is the problem, is I got all this set up once and I just don't mess with it. I don't know. Don't remember how this works. I can't copy with that. Sorry, I'm getting a little flustered here. Let me put this. So 3.2. Guess this 3.3 is here. Is that the part of it we need? So it's maybe 1.1.2? We need all of that? Oh, there it is. Okay, okay. Please tell me it works. Yes, okay. All right. Now back to the regularly scheduled program here. Yeah, by ID and by path as well in that folder. /dev/input or wherever I was at there. Do we want to close this? Yeah, we can close that. Hey there, Dexter. Thanks for tuning in. Having a little bit of technical difficulty this morning with USBs, but I think we are back in action now. Yes, this works. My keyboard works. All right, fingers crossed that the port we're on now lives on us. Let me, one more thing here. Let me plug back in the Pi portal. Let's hope that that does not break anything. Please, pretty please. Okay, this works. This works. All right. I think we're good. Let's see. Yeah. So third choice, yeah, I think that's right. Neradoc, it should probably be a third choice. It will be a little weird because it's kind of different than the other two. The other two, essentially the way we put org in. The way we put org in is different than the way we do the other ones because org, it goes after CircuitPython. The other ones only manipulate what comes before CircuitPython, but org does what comes after. So the logic is kind of different on that one. But I do think a third option is probably the way to go. I just want to make sure that's what Ask Patrick or Katney had in mind. All right, where was I here? So, yeah, and broke Circup as well. Yeah, yeah. If I had it to do over again, we discussed it in the meeting at one point, how he wanted to put that org in there, and if I had understood all the ramifications at that point, I maybe would have advocated against it or doing it differently or something. But okay, so the origin is set using XY coordinates. This is gonna want to wrap, I think, right? Coordinates relative to the center of the gauge. So that's by default. Okay. So we need initializer docstring. We don't have quite as many parameters. Here we go. So now we can just start filling these in. Oops, we want this one Y center though. Radius. Is that the inner? Is that the inner or the outer circle radius? Outer arc. So this is the radius of outer circle of the gauge. I don't know, are these supposed to be sentences with a period or doesn't look like it? Okay. So the width, I think, is the thickness of the gauge. We'll double check some of this stuff as well once we run the example, but I just want to get the bulk of it out here. Width is thickness. In pixels. I think this is in pixels. Progress, this is the amount that it's filled. Progress, do you set this in? Is that actually an int? Yeah. Okay. So fill level of the gauge. And this should be 0 to 100. Alright, so next we have line color, which this one is a color, which is like a hex value, it should be, I think. This is the color of the outline. And what does it default to? Looks like it doesn't have a default. So we should probably make a default though, honestly. Excuse me. So why don't we just put that in anticipation? Defaults to, I think white seems good. Most screens have black in the background, so if we put white in the foreground, I think that'll be good. Yeah. So it doesn't like the order of this, but we can make defaults for the rest of these as well. Progress color. This is the color that it gets filled with based on the progress value. I think I'm gonna default it to green. I feel like green seems like good default. I think that might be what the default in the progress bar is too. I'm not 100% sure on that though. Progress implies a particular application. Like the name of this progress here, you mean? Yeah, that's true. I guess if you're not doing a, if it's just reading a sensor or something, then progress doesn't make as much sense. That's a good point. What should we call it? Fill level or something like that? Fill percentage? Let's go. Well, okay, so then we'd probably be changing this as well. So this one, I think fill color makes sense for this one. See you, Johnny. Yeah, thanks. You too. Have a nice weekend as well. Have a nice time at the restaurant there. Dexter, what do you think about fill level or fill percentage? You like either of those? Let's see, some of these are gonna want to go to new lines, I'm pretty sure. Background color. This is the color. Filled in portion of the gauge. Fill level? Okay. Let's go with that. Fill level. Let me run black on this because a bunch of this stuff is going to get swapped around. Okay, color for the, this is the unfilled portion of the gauge. Let me run black on this now. I'll just run pre-commit. I'm sure there's stuff that's not going to pass, but it'll run black for me, so. Nope. There we go. Oh, these are all skipped. Okay, we can't run pre-commit. Let's just run black then. Man, it's been so long since I've run black by itself. This doesn't have the actual command. Is it like -T pi 35? Target, yeah. 35. Okay. Yeah, okay, so these are all on their own line now. What is this? Should be lowercase. Oh, okay, it doesn't like Java. Oh, we can't just change this though, right? We need to... yeah, sensors. Yeah, I was gonna, once we get this repo squared away, I got the clue here. I was gonna hook it up to the light sensor on that as kind of just a sort of more real world test. We have a sample code that just runs it off a for loop, but I think it'd be cool to have one that actually reads the sensor as well. Would level work alone? I think level would work fine for this parameter, the fill level. But since this, if this is going to be called fill color, then I think I like the idea of them both using the word fill to show that they go together. But then again, I guess maybe this could just be color. But we have 3 colors, so I do think I shy away from calling one thing just color. Let's look at progress bar, see what's done there. Look in the docs. Well, I guess progress bar though, it's actually meant for progress, so it probably does call it progress. What do they do for color though? They call it bar color. Oh, but they also have a fill color. Okay, so fill color here is actually more like our background color. Interesting. I think because they're saying like basically the bar is what's drawn on the left and then the rest is filled with the background. Okay. Hmm. I think I like them this way a little bit better. Yeah, I think I like them this way a little better. I feel like background color. Like I don't think we should use bar color because our thing is not really just a bar since it's round. And if we don't use bar color, then I think fill color makes sense for the, the foreground, the part we're filling. And then background color makes sense for the rest, the empty part. Okay. Typo. I guess these should be maybe, you could probably just call these XY, honestly. Like we document in the docs that it's relative to the center. Yeah. Which makes sense here, actually, because we put XY. So these would, if we keep X center, Y center, these should also be X center, Y center, but I think X and Y is probably all right. Oh, but these are... Wait a minute. Oh, the self dot one. I see. So I guess we could keep it internally. Yeah, we could keep it internally as X center and Y center. And in fact, we can't do like self.x because that would be tile grids X, I think. That makes sense. Yeah. I kind of lean away from using the same, at least as progress bar, since I don't feel like bar color makes as much sense when it's not a straight bar. And there's kind of hinges on that. It is a little awkward to use fill color for the opposite, though. I will admit, I don't like that too much. Because essentially, that's now like the opposite concept as progress bar. But I almost feel like this one inside progress bar would be better to be renamed to background color. I think is how I would do it if I were just like sitting down right now. Choose the names for both. Level color, yeah. Could say foreground color, background color, and then just level. Kind of makes sense because the part that's filled in is drawn on top of the part that's background. What do you think about those? You like foreground color? Foreground and background? We don't need this. Let's try foreground. Let's try, yeah. If this was level, and then this was foreground. Okay, got one vote from Dexter, thank you. This can be level because it no longer needs to match fill. Line color, I almost want to call this outline. And it's fairly subtle difference, but I think it's just a touch more clear. Okay. I wonder if width might be better being called thickness so that it's definitely not confused with like the width of the entire widget, which is technically determined by the radius. Yeah, technically determined by the radius. Yeah, for sure. Good names are... It's half the battle sometimes. It's more than half the battle sometimes, honestly. Yeah, I think I like thickness a little better than width. Because width, you could get it confused with the entire width of the widget. Okay. And we could provide some more defaults, like level could default to 0. Thickness could default to... We want to default thickness. Tempted to just make it a couple pixels. And it really sort of depends on your radius what makes a good thickness. 10 feels like a pretty good default though. We'll draw it with the example in a minute and see see how it looks. Okay. So do we want a default radius? I don't think so. I think radius really depends on your screen size a lot and like what kind of UI you're fitting it into. Okay. All right. Did we put anything else here? So this is the rest of... Okay, this is like the main part of the doc string. So could put in a simple example here. Or we could do like this one does and just link back to the example file. How much code would it be? Also, I'm not sure where this, I'm not 100% sure where this ends up. Let me fill it in with the file for now, but if it's in a good spot and it doesn't take up that many lines of code, then we might swap this to just having the literal code here, I think. Let's see where it ends up. Okay. File is, do we need this part? I don't know if this is, I don't know if this gets used by Sphinx. So right now we're a subclass of tile grid. It might be good eventually to make it a widget and then have it hold a tile grid. And that way anchored positioning could work. But for now, I'll make it accurate. I'll just say that it's a tile grid because that's what it is right now. Okay. These go inside, I think, right? The code. These are all single line comments, I guess. Okay. I think we don't need these. Okay, so this draws the outer arc. This then draws the inner arc all the way to here. Connect them at the endpoints. The 2 lines, one on each end. Then draw the progress. Draw. Line. Draw, so this should probably be draw level. Okay. Fill the portion of the gauge. Oops. So we have progress. We want to change that level. I don't know if this will work. It's trying to do self. Okay. Yeah, that was alright. Level. Okay. Put it back here. A level internal helper function. Draw the filled portion of the gauge. Color in up to the level. Find the fill level end line, I'll call this one. Draw the line for the level. Come on. Level value. If level is not 100, if it is 100, then we don't draw the line. Find a point just before the level line. Okay. This doesn't know about boundary fill. I think since that's merged, I could do oops. Already satisfied. There we go. Now this knows about boundary fill. Draw a regress. Do we want to change regress? What is the actual definition of regress? From a less developed state. I don't know, I feel like regress still fits pretty well, even though we're not using progress. Function to draw the unfilled of the gauge. And so I think this is used when, specifically when the user sets a level that's lower than the current level. Yeah. Sets a new level lower than current level. Level value. Okay. Okay. Actually, does this go inside? How do we do properties? level. And this is foreground color. You just get it out of the palette? Progress color. Huh. Is that ever getting set? Can I highlight this? Or huh. I don't know if this would have been working. Because it doesn't seem like it sets self.progress color. It sets it into the palette. Regress is the portion between the user set level and the current level when the user level is lower. Yeah, it's basically it's the portion that has to get blanked out. So like if they used to be on level 50 and then they set it down to level 30, it's that section between 30 and 50 that now needs to get like unfilled basically. Or another way to think of it is it needs to get filled with the background color instead of the foreground color. So I don't think this was actually working before. I don't know if the sample code it may not have actually used it. It's like setting colors, but not getting colors. So let's fix that up. So we set it to the palette. Why don't we just... I think we can just fetch it back out of the palette. Whoops. Oh, yeah, we should do it this way too. Maybe just erasing when the previous level was higher. Yeah. I think it's more like the second thing you said. It's just used for erasing the section when they set it to a lower value than was there previously. Yeah, so it's not like, so like if you set it to 50, you know, regress is not taking care of the part from 50 to 100. that part gets taken care of automatically. Regress, this function I think is only used if you were on 50 and you go to 30 or anything lower than 50. I don't know where it does fill the rest of the background. It must do it once at the beginning. Or maybe it's just a product of bitmap. Maybe does bitmap fill it with 0 automatically? That might be it, actually. Yeah, I think that's probably it. I don't think it explicitly does fill the background the first time. It doesn't need to, because it gets created with zeros already, which we set to the background color. Then we draw the outlines, then we use the boundary fill to fill in either the foreground color, or if we go down, then we use it to fill in the background color. Yeah. We might as well make a property for the background color too, and the outline color, I guess, while we're here, right? Like there's a reason why we can't have all of those, I think. We should comment them first. If you saw a previous one of my streams, then we were redrawing the whole thing when it got set. This is a relatively new one. I don't think I've shown the code specifically for this version. So that could be, if you just saw the previous stream, then it definitely did used to redraw the whole thing. This one, though, Gary made it a little bit more efficient, and it only refills the portion it needs, which we'll see when I run it on the device as well. It's much better about the flashing. Doesn't flash nearly as much anymore because of this, since it's not redrawing nearly as much stuff each time, which is really nice. Yeah, properties are super cool. I've only, like, CircuitPython libraries is where I really learned how to use properties for stuff, but I use it all the time now in my work code as well. They're super helpful for, like, especially if you need to compute some value based on some other things, like gives you a way to access it with just a single, like, variable, the property on the object. But if it needs to, like, you know, fetch a bunch of things out of the database and, you know, tabulate them together or something, it's super nice to be able to have just a single way to access it, especially for a property. I don't use setters maybe as much outside of CircuitPython libraries, but properties I've started using a whole lot. So this will be okay. Might as well, I think, run black on this again. So let's make a background. Be used in the unfilled portion of the gauge. Okay. This is palette 0. And we might as well do the outline also, I think, right, while we're here. Yeah. Love me some properties now. Okay. So these need to change, right? Okay. Okay, we've made a bunch of changes now. We should definitely test what we have. So let's take Displayio gauge, copy that. Let's put it on the device. I think I'm gonna use PyCharm today. You know what I need to do is I need to make, I guess I could just do it now. Let me try this. So I want to place inside of here and make it shouty. I want this to exist as a spot on my hard drive. But then in here, I want to go add see. Source. Add content root. Media. Where's this? / media. CircuitPy. And this can be sources root. Okay, I think this will make it so that .idea gets stored here on my hard drive, but CircuitPy is here and I can see it and use it for stuff. And then we should hopefully not have .idea here, which we don't. Okay. We want to we're gonna need to do this. and off autosave. Okay. All right, so this is the boundary fill test, which boundary fill test. I don't know if it's the same for sure or not. So what I'm gonna do is I'll do this outside actually. Delete that one. Rename this one. Okay. Now we can make CodePy. We can put our sample code. Oh, wait. This is not the right thing. This is from dial. Here we go. Okay, save that. Okay. So that does look like it's working. So looks like all of our renaming went okay. I think let's make a simpler one. Let's make one that's just a single gauge by itself. And we can have this be maybe advanced test or multi-gauge test or something. Yeah, it's super nice now. The way that it redraws like really well without flashing now. Let's call this one Displayio gauge multiple test. I don't really want that to redo the code inside of there, but okay. So simple test, this one I want it to just be one gauge by itself, like absolute bare minimum. Just draw one and make it change, and that's it. We should not call this progress gauge. Yeah, we have one like that too. That's kind of like, that's actually what that other library I had open, the dial widget, is pretty much that type of thing. They would work well in conjunction, truthfully, because dial would give you the needle and all those tick marks and the numbers, and then gauge, you could stick it around the outside as like a filled in bar. Multiple gauges, change their level. Okay. I'm gonna try it without filling the background, excuse me, explicitly like this. I think it will be black by default. I don't think we need that necessarily. I guess we should make a variable for display. That way this code will be easier if you wanted to use an external display. Yeah. That'd be sweet. It'd be nice to get a an animation like in the read the docs for dial widget. There's a nice animation that shows it running. Pretty sure it'd be nice to have that for gauge as well. I'm not sure how. I think Kmatch made it somehow by like extracting each frame and then stitching them together into a GIF. But I'm not sure how exactly that was done. Okay, show the main group. Make a gauge. I think it'd be nice to make it thicker. Honestly, actually, this is a simple test. We could start with the defaults for all of these for the simple test, honestly. We want it at 30-30. Guess it depends the radius. Let's go bigger. Let's go 50. And then 30-30. I guess that's probably pretty good still, 30-30. Okay. Don't need anything yet. So let's try running this. Oops. Okay. Not far enough. Should we be far enough though? If the radius is 50. Oh, the radius is 50, not the diameter. Yeah. Let's make the radius actually 30. And then make this 35, so there's a little bit of padding. Yeah. That's what we want. Okay. I'll copy this back into the repo in a minute, but let's add a for loop for I in range 0. Is it? I always forget. Is it inclusive? How does this one work? Exclusive on the end. So we need to go 101 if we want it to ever fill. Sample gauge dot level equals I. Oh. Uh-oh. Huh. Okay. Let me take this. Let's put this in simple test. And then multiple tests. Let's run that one again. Maybe we do need the background? Yeah, I guess we do need the background. It's gotta be it, right? Because this one works fine. Okay. Guess we could wait to show it until after we have the background. I don't know if it matters. Oh no. So we did. Must have messed up something in the renames, but why does the multiple one work fine? Maybe one of our defaults. Let's try filling in these. Whoops. No? Huh. Ah. So something about radius 30. Hmm. Also not filling in very good. You know what? Let me update CircuitPython. Maybe, Lord only knows what version I have on here. Maybe I had a bad build of boundary fill? Should be in beta 0, I think. Hmm. It's also not filling right. Some of this is got black pixels in it. Well, uh-oh. Let's try to experiment a little bit here. Let's start with this one because it's working. Seems like it at least. Yeah, this one's totally fine. It has no issues with the black spots in the filled in section. And obviously it's also not filling like the outside area. So let's just start paring stuff down and see what actually ends up causing it. I'm going to keep just gauge 5. And that works fine. This is radius 50. So if we do a radius 30, we're fine. Thickness 10. Hey! Jeez, scared the heck out of me. Cat just jumped up. I don't know if you could see him in the camera there, but the cat just jumped up on my chair. On like the back of it, right by my head. Alright. So this one seems fine, and it's not having any of those like black sections. It's filling and unfilling. This is using Displayio gauge. And it does work the same without the background. Huh. Yeah, cat attack for sure. So what's the difference? Sample gauge dot level I. Gauge dot level equals I. I have a different time dot sleep, but I don't think that should matter. Now he's like tearing back and forth as fast as he can up and down the steps. Let's just run through this real quick here. Make a display variable, make a group. This didn't seem to change it. Let's make a background. Size of the display, single color palette, set the color to black. Create a tile grid so we can show it. Append it to the main group. Yeah, I can push. Oh, can I push? I guess I can push. It's gonna fail, it's gonna fail actions and all sorts of stuff, but I guess that's alright for now. Let me do this. Git add, git ignore. Does that have an idea? Yeah. Okay. Oh, we renamed that to disable, didn't we? Did I not save it? You know what I'm gonna do actually for now is I'm just gonna disable the actions. Okay. And CircuitPython org Displayio page. I don't know if this supports these or not. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna have some to-do items still. It's fine for now. Okay. Code is pushed in here. I'll drop the link in the chat. So you could try that on a different device if you want. And I will... Let me check something real quick. Okay. I need to run to the restroom. That's what I'm gonna do, and then I'll be right back. And then we'll try to troubleshoot this. But yeah, I'll be right back. All right, refilled my water too. So it's like, it seems like it's boundary filling outside of the lines. That's what it seems like to me. So let's do something. So where we call boundary fill, instead, temporarily, so edit this and this one on the device. We don't really want to make this change in the library. So instead of doing boundary fill, let's just draw a single pixel and fill it in. So self.bitmap xpyp equals 2. Actually, also before this, let's put this back. Code. Let's take out the for loop for now. Just pass. So by default, this will go to fill 0. So that works and seems fine. So let's go level 10. That works and also seems fine. as does that. So maybe the problem is only when we're filling it, I guess. But let's do this now. So let's go here. So this is going to draw just a single pixel. And it's tough to see it, but it's right. It drew a green line, vertical line, and then it drew 1 pixel on the left side of the line. And so that does seem fine. I don't see any issue with that. So let's then go and say sample gauge 100. Yeah, I'm gonna change it. I think here level equals, yeah, let's try 100. So this did not update. Okay. New level is new level. Old level is self.level. Okay, setting new level 100, old level is 50. So that part seems fine. But it did not actually draw. Let me do something less than 100. Maybe it's blending in with the edge. Let's try 90. Ah, okay. Yeah, it was blending in with the edge there. So that actually looks okay. It drew the line for 90, and again, it's tough to see. I don't know if I can make it focus any better than this, truthfully, but it's got like 1 extra pixel as well. I don't know, it's probably about as good as I can do, but it's got the line there, and then it's got 1 pixel drawn above the line, which is the place where we would have boundary filled. Which seems okay to me. Let's come on back in here. Put this back how it's supposed to be. So that worked. That part seems fine. Let's add some sleep. Okay. So that also seems okay. So is the problem only going backwards, maybe? So we started at 50, let's go down to 20? No, that also seems fine. Down to 20, up to 90. That seems fine. Huh. Maybe... Is it possible this could be not enough sleep? No, this is the same problem. Huh. So let's start back on 0. And then set it to 1. And then set it to 2. Okay, so 1 is the problem. Yeah. As soon as we set it to 1, it fills outside the bounds. Let's go back here. Wait. Didn't we... Where's our code from before? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's a little tough again to see, but the pixel that it found is on the outside of the white line. So let's look in the logic. It is super weird that it does not break the stuff in the other example though. Yeah. And like this one, it didn't break it either. Maybe it's because if the circle is small enough and you're setting it to level 1, it would essentially only need to draw the line. I think there's a small enough circle where it would basically just not boundary fill anything. But how do we know what is small enough? Because this one is big enough that it's not a problem anymore. Whoops. But on this one it is a problem. So is it anything smaller than this? Yeah, that one looks like it did it. Let me go back to using the full boundary fill as well. That'll make it clear if it's happening. We could set this smaller too, maybe like sleep 1. Okay, so that did. So I mean, the kind of like quick and dirty fix is find the size that's small enough and just hard code extra logic. And I think this only affects... This probably only affects level 1, truthfully. Yeah. Although 2, it did actually not boundary fill right. There's a little empty space. So I think this has some logic here. Search a little for a blank pixel. This, I think, is what we need to change. So find the color at XP, YP. If it is not the background color, and if I is less than 4, increment I XP is equal to radius plus what is prog? That's probably progress. Yeah. This is basically making a new XP and YP. If it gets to I4, what happens? It would just land on whatever XP and YP are. Okay. So I will be honest, the actual specific geometry here is a little beyond me, but let's see what we can do. This is basically adding I to prog. I is starting on 1. This didn't print anything. This is an example of one that made it all the way. And it tried X 9, Y 30. Got some more debugging here. Color at this location is bitmap XP YP. The color at 930 is 2, which is the foreground color. It ended up actually checking 930 again. I guess because our thing is small enough that this ends up not changing. It got 2 again. And then it ended up checking 931 and it found 1, which is the boundary color. The outline color, I should say. So let's put this here also. Foreground colors, that's the same point, so it's still the foreground color. 931 is the outline color. And it ended up changing it one more time. Got to 1031 and it found the background color, but it's outside of this white line. So how is X changing here? I almost think we want... I almost feel like we want this going down in X. Right now this is going up, which is causing it to scooch further to the right. But because of the way this is angled, that is making it more likely that we end up outside the outline. This one didn't break because it only found the fill color, which is exactly what we want it to do in the case of level 1. Level 2 still has a bit of a problem in that there's actually a gap between the green line and the white outline. This one worked all right. Yeah, I know it failed eventually though. Once it got high enough, it just failed. Filled everything, even though it shouldn't have. Draw the inline for the fill value. X start, Y start, X end, Y end, fill it with the color 2. Print level line is, whoops. Format. This is XS, YS, XE, YE. Let's turn the loop back off. I don't know what happened here. Okay. .531 is the left point on our line. 1027 is the right point on our line. What if we started the points that we're looking at closer to the first point of the line in the X direction? Yeah, because this went 633 to 1128, but then the first point it checked was 3 pixels to the right and 3 pixels down from the left point on the line. But if it had checked instead, like, if it had checked instead 632, Yeah, 632. 1 pixel below. Would it have found the outline? So what if we try this? Start of the line. Start of the line y minus 1. I've filled all the way. Do I have the y coordinates backwards? Y count down? Yeah, I guess y counts down because it's bigger as it goes down. Because these are tile grid coordinates starting x, y, 0, 0 here. So x gets bigger going to the right, y gets bigger going down. So this would be +1, not -1. What if we always start the fill at the bottom left inside the corner? So then I think the problem would be if we already had some filled, like if we were on 20 and then we set it to 30, it would not fill any further, because as soon as it checked that bottom left corner, it would already be filled, and then boundary fill would not do anything because it would already find that that pixel is filled. So we need it to target a pixel that is definitely still unfilled, or the background color. So this one worked on 3. Caused the same issue with 2, which is that there's a gap. So it caused the same issue because this was an outline color. So what if we went right 1 and down 1 from XS? So that I think worked for 2. That one doesn't have the gap. And it worked for 3. And 5. And 35, but do we run into trouble after 50? Because yeah, I think we'll run into trouble after 50. Yeah. If it's less than 50, then go right 1, down 1. If it's greater than 50, then go left 1, up 1. If it's exactly 50, then just go left. I guess it depends. Draws the bottom point first. If it's exactly 50, then go left 1, up 1. Is that the same as this, though? Should this just be else? Now I need a special case for 50. That worked. That worked also. 49 doesn't. Well, let's see here. Where does it break? Is it all the way broken now? No. So the breakpoint is 40 and 41. But then once you get to 50, it works all right again. All right, hang on. I'll be back. All right. Are you trying to sell something? The door. So 51, 52. So let's run the loop. Let's run the loop. Start on 5. Huh. We still got outer filled. How did we get outer filled? You always want to be counterclockwise from the line. Yeah. Which I guess is what... I guess that's what this math is trying to do. I guess. I don't actually know. The sine of progress plus 1 times radius minus half of the thickness. No. This is actually the width of the tile grid, not the thickness. It's supposed to be the thickness? Let's go back to the version, let's go back to Gary's version and see if I broke this or if it was like this before. Maybe I broke it when we changed the names of everything. I'm curious which number we get outer filled on though here. That did it right away. New value is 1. Oh, because we're modifying draw level, and it would have called draw regress. We haven't modified that at all. So whatever logic we do end up with inside draw level, it would have to use the same logic inside draw regress. And because this code set it to 5 and then set it back down to 1, that's why it got the outer fill right away. But if it was inside draw regress, shouldn't it have filled with black and not green? I don't know. Let's go back and check the stock code. See if this is actually an issue in the real one, or if I caused it when we changed all the bunch of stuff over. So to do that, I'm gonna... What am I gonna do? I think I have gauge still. Got a bunch of codes. Gauge. Yeah, this is the old one. So the only thing different between this one and the actual stock one from Gary's repo is the one in Gary's repo still has paint fill, which was the name of what boundary fill became. Or whatever. Like, paint fill is what I called it first, but then I changed it to boundary fill. But otherwise, this is the same logic that Gary wrote to start with. So yeah. From gauge, import gauge. Okay, so I'm gonna say that this is actually gauge troubleshooting. Gauge test. It's code. That seems okay. Okay, and this is not called level though, it's called progress in this one. Yeah, that doesn't work. Hmm. Okay. Well, getting upper sections, let me catch up here. Getting the upper sections filled with radius 60 and thickness 20. The upper sections, filled backwards, basically, is what you mean, I think. Like the part that should be the foreground color is actually the background color, so I'm going to use green and black, but obviously you could change them. So the part that's supposed to be green is actually black, and the part that's supposed to be black is actually green. Oh, no. Well, yeah, no. Interesting. So that filled in outside the... That filled in basically the opposite of what I was seeing before. Instead of filling underneath the gauge, it filled on top of the gauge. Okay. So we definitely have some work to do. The other thing that occurs to me is we probably need to check in the constructor to ensure that outline color is not the same as background color. If outline color was the same as background color, then I think boundary fill would fill the entire tile grid. So we probably need to raise an exception. But that's relatively minor. That's only broken if you pass it weird inputs. Whoops. Okay. So the main difference here is this changed to 20. But it still works on 15. Up, down, sweep. Level equals absolute value of sine of theta. No. Sine of theta times 100, and the absolute value of that. This is changing theta by 0.2 every time. Huh. Just moves the level up and down. Something ever reset theta? Or I guess... No, it's just always counting up. Oh, even this works. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, alright. We did eventually find one. Doesn't work. But a lot more of them work. I wonder if there's... I wonder if something I did is making it more likely. Because this one's on radius 28 width 10. I'm pretty sure radius 30 width 10 we were getting that problem like pretty much right out of the gate. When it set it to 1, I'm pretty sure we had this. This is when we first noticed this issue. So maybe there is something in my change that made this problem worse. Either way, though, I am probably going to have to stop pretty soon for now. It is interesting. I'm a little surprised 30 and width 10 works on this one. So I think what I'll do is let's go back to the original code, which is what I have here. Let's turn off all the looping. And let's find one value that breaks gauge 5. Although right now we're not going to find it, I don't think. Interesting. Why did this fill below? But this didn't. Wouldn't this be doing the same thing? So progress starts on 0 for gauge 5. Set it to 1. Oh. Well, if I set it to 1, I get the underneath fill. This is skipping 1. This is counting by 4s. That's why the for loop doesn't break. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Oops. Four is probably not a problem. Yeah. Even the 2s are not a problem. So we'd be pretty close if we just kept the code how it was originally, made a special rule for progress 1 that says don't try to boundary fill, just draw the line. This one doesn't even have the gap like we saw in 2 before. It really has a lot to do with the radius. It's basically the point at which if your radius is small enough that there's no empty space below the fill line, there's not enough pixels for there to be any pixels below the fill line. But once the radius gets big enough, then there's always enough space. There's always at least 1 pixel. Okay. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is share what I found so far with Gary and see if they have any ideas on maybe a different way to do the logic. Right here. And I guess also in here. They might have more ideas, especially if they have a better understanding of what this is. If nothing else, I can try to ask, like, in English instead of geometry, like, what is this trying to do in simple terms? This is trying to, I mean, I get conceptually it's trying to select a point under the line, but like, I don't quite follow how exactly it's trying to select a point under the line. But that could be me failing trig, truthfully. I probably don't know enough about trig at this point in my life to be able to follow it all the way. But maybe if they can break it down into simpler terms, what the strategy is, then I could try to tweak it. So I think that's what I'm going to do for now. We got the repo created. We definitely still have work to do to troubleshoot this issue. And then even once that's done, I guess actually once that's done, it's pretty close. The other stuff it would need is like making sure all the doc strings are good, making sure that Sphinx builds, running Pylint, all of that sort of stuff, which we didn't do yet. I mean, I guess I could run pre-commit now that I actually checked things in. Pylint doesn't like the name of a couple variables. We'll have to fix those up as well. There's not too much, I guess, really. It's like try to figure out this issue and then work through the Pylint issues that remain. I mean, one thing it could do is we could just make a warning or something that says like works best with radius above whatever, if it's 30 or 40 or whatever it is. I mean, because it does work fine as long as your radius is big enough. We could figure out what that big enough level is and just to start with instruct people that they should only use it for ones bigger than that. Okay. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. So definitely appreciate Dexter, NearDoc, all the folks in the chat here that were helping me work on this. Dexter for trying it out on your device and testing out some different solutions here. Thank you for working on that. Yeah, I will be back. I'll be back definitely next week. So Saturday, 10 a.m. Central Time, same time as I started today. I will be back and we'll be working on something. I don't know for sure what it'll be next week, but we'll be doing something. And yeah, I hope all of you folks have a good weekend, and I will see you next week.